The next time you refuse to sing because you'll never fill a stadium, or decline the joy of dance for fear of looking ridiculous, or you resist risking the new adventure because you're not entirely ready, or you dim your shine because you're not completely healed and whole. The next time you hold yourself suspect because you're not entirely qualified, just remember, a bird doesn't sing because it's talented. A bird sings because it has a song. The moon doesn't only shine when it's whole. It can show up with a single sliver of itself and still light an entire night sky. Show up, sing, shine. The world needs you as you are. I was guided to check the oracle card that I pulled for this reading because this is an oracle card number 22 that has shown up in a recent reading. I don't know exactly which one, but I recognize it because it is this blue card with a starfish on it, and because it's number 22. But as I flipped to the book, this is the poem that came up first, and on the very next page is the page for the oracle. But I just wanted to share that with you guys because it does tie into the reading. And this reading is for someone who is focusing on getting their shine back, so to speak. This is about kind of jumping back into things that you are passionate about, things that excite you. Off of the backs of, I will say, for a lot of us, this is talking about a kind of, I'm getting an opportunity that was not fully realized, and therefore, I feel like the perspective you have is that this was a missed opportunity. For some, this is in the context of a romantic relationship. For others, these are other situations, but the general theme of being having missed a chance, missed an opportunity. I see recently there's a very loud plane that's about to go by. 1 second. Okay. Pause the recording just so that plane could pass. Um but just the theme of having missed opportunities in the recent past would have been reflecting on that. I'm hearing a lot of like, if I had onlys, if you either had or hadn't done something, if you had or hadn't expressed yourself in a certain way, if you had or hadn't taken a certain action, right? And I would see for some time that this may be, for some, it would have put you in a more place of like paralysis, where there was kind of an extreme aversion to trying whatever it was again. If this is a romantic connection, if this was not wanting to put yourself out there, just put yourself out there in some way that feels vulnerable. um there was kind of this stage of isolation, but right now I feel like, and this collective is so cool because it is always centered around people that want to better understand their own power in a situation, which leads to having to take a certain degree of accountability that most people would be uncomfortable with. um, but what I'm seeing right now is, again, a focus on what it is that makes you feel good, what it is that makes you feel empowered. I think that this could even be wanting to take a little bit more intentional care of yourself physically in new ways, or ways that maybe in the past were a little like daunting, or just maybe you're not the type of person that really gave a lot of attention or effort into like your physical well-being, specifically appearance. This isn't even so much focused on health, I'll be very honest. It's more like wanting to look good, and I think that will eventually lead, to health, to actual, like, just wanting to make sure that your body is strong. But the emphasis right now is, I will be honest, like aesthetic, kind of just feeling like you want to get back out there in a way. But not even so much for external validation. It's just like you have maybe not been dressing yourself so much lately, or putting in the kind of effort that you used to. So this is about taking that time and that care to just make sure that you feel good and that you look good. This is also getting at, as we move into the near and distant future in the reading, I will say where you are right now is focused on building a kind of foundation. And at its root is an emotional stability isn't even just like a kind of fortitude, a kind of intimate knowing of the self where other people's perceptions don't move you at all. You know what I mean? And I'm feeling like you've maybe experienced a kind of pattern where people, if you have to walk away for whatever reason, or just ultimately when things come to an end, I see a lot of people kind of taking it personally or feeling like you have betrayed or abandoned them. Like, how could you, kind of a thing? People will paint you in a certain light. Um, just to kind of deal with the pain of it, even if things didn't like end in like a quote unquote bad way, whatever that means, like for you and them. But a kind of, I just feel like ultimately a lot of people have painted you in a certain light. And maybe at certain times in the past, like that would have been more valid. Maybe there was a time where there was a little, I'm seeing not so much consideration of how your actions would affect others, because there was like I'm seeing like an extreme of the spectrum where it's like, someone doing what it is that they need to do, but just an extreme kind of lack of how they go about doing that would affect the people around them. So again, willing to take accountability that maybe in the past you weren't always doing things in the best way or the most heart-centered way, right? But moving forward, as you continue to work on yourself and get back to yourself, understanding that there is that line. Um, and if you're just working on self-forgiveness, also, I feel like this is tied in, not allowing people from your past to kind of bring up that old stuff. Like if there are people that are watching you, step on this path of like evolution and growth and like real accountability so that you can be more of your true authentic self, if there are people that are kind of throwing that dirt back in your face of like an I knew you when type of a thing, like, oh well, don't forget, or funny hat, like, you know what I mean, that kind of stuff, where people are just like, and there's this feeling of past wounding where it's like if they see you leveling up in a way, they feel slighted by the fact that they didn't get that version of you, or they're like, why couldn't you have been that when we were, whenever that relationship was relevant? And it's like, you were also coming to a level of understanding that you could only do so much at certain points in your life. You could only, do the best that you could at that time. So again, being aware of the missteps, but still not getting down on yourself for that, and also not allowing someone else to put you back in the energy of the past or say that you are still that person, that kind of a thing. Not letting people bring that past energy into the present moment, because you're focused on growth and progress and just getting back out there. So this foundation that you're building is great. I think you, maybe there's a focus too on, like, I'm just seeing like a lot of grounding, really wanting, like, I'm feeling like you just really want to be stable, like, but fortified in a way where like these roots are going deep, 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 deep. There could also be a new level of understanding when it comes to if you've experienced some dark nights of the soul kind of energy, um looking at past traumas and healing them, a new understanding about how those play into um what it is that you want to build. And ultimately, what I'm seeing in the near future is like, I see you trying to truly grasp how to release these like past situations. There's a lot of major arcana here, so I feel like these are, kind of big relationships that had a big impact on your life, but really taking a objective look at what we have been spending our time doing here with the 7 of Pentacles, and what is worthy of kind of moving forward with you. I think there are certain things, certain habits, and even certain people, certain relationships that right now, and again, we've had this message, have served their purpose. So someone just needs this reminder, like, yes, this relationship has served its purpose. Okay. That's not to say that every relationship does not have the capacity to evolve. However, there's another loud plane going by. Hold on. Okay, so sorry about that. Hopefully that is the last time that I have to pause in the middle of this reading. Getting back to what I was saying, like, that is not to say that certain relationships cannot evolve. I think there are also people around you that are like wanting to grow. However, this is talking about what is the capacity for growth at its current stage, at its current level of understanding, wherever you stand right now, like when it comes to these other relationships that again, I feel like you have been very aware of, like it's these kind of thoughts of like, I shouldn't be spending so much time doing this thing or spending so much time with this person, or like I should be doing other things. My time could be better spent doing other things. I think you have reached a stage where the current level of growth that you were like that is compatible with you and this person or you in this situation has maxed out. So it's not to say that you guys cannot come back together at a later point in time. However, I think that you are very aware of the fact that the level of growth that can happen together has kind of reached a point. So there does require some time as an individual, separate from all of the noise of other people's, kinds of thoughts and opinions, to grow more, to get to know yourself more, to reach certain levels of understanding kind of away from other people. Specifically, just I'm seeing, and I'm not saying that you have to be alone, but it's like the kinds of people that are in your current environment, I feel like when you look around them, they're kind of doing the same things. Even if they talk about growth and progress and, whatever, there's another plane. I'm just hoping to God you guys cannot hear it. That moving forward, like they're just doing the same things over and over and over again. Even if they talk about things that they want to do, they want to accomplish, there isn't really any practical like changes that you see being made that would lead to some type of substantial growth or change. I think you're starting to understand truly what it takes to create lasting change in the direction you want your life to go. And ultimately, the people around you are not doing those things and they're not committed to doing those things. Right. So the question comes down to what is it that you're going to do? There's also this feeling of you not being ready. And I'm hearing that a lot. That is like something where I think when you get a little overwhelmed, even subconsciously, just about what it is that you want to do, there's like so many other things that you will say that you have to do first, or so many other things that have to be in place first. If you have to have a certain amount of money, if you have to look a certain way, if, other things, this job, whatever you have, you know what I mean? Literal time. If you're like, you're waiting on some type of harvest to feel like you're then ready. But I feel like you've been saying this for quite some time now. And getting back to the little, poem at the beginning, being able to show up right now is part of the process. You don't get the end result at the beginning. That's the point. And I think you're trying to have the end result first so you feel ready to like walk this path. And I'm sorry, not sorry to be the one to tell you that you do have to like start walking first. And again, if other people don't have the shoes or aren't willing to walk the terrain, that's okay. Maybe at a later date, you will arrive at a place where you can better help them. We're going to get on over to the Oracle card now. It's number 22, Own Your Star. If the ocean or the sea, seashells, anything like that has been a kind of prominent sign for you, that's all here. This advice says, not all stars belong to the sky. Just look at the starfish and you. One of a kind, brilliant, luminous. Never let anyone dull your shine. Endeavor to know your value, not based on what service you provide or how you can be pleasing, pretty, or productive. Rather, know your worth based on the radiant star stuff coursing through your veins. Stand in your shine. Be willing to lose anything that requires you to lose a part of yourself. Last thing is, just because there have been so many planes, I am really not the reader to do the like, cough, confirmation, cough, burp. And if that works for other readers, that's not me. But like the fact that there were so many planes going by, there were 5 now. I'm tired. They are usually not that many this early in the morning. But if planes are a sign for you, any type of flight leaving, if you've been looking to leave, if that's part of all of this, you're wanting to genuinely like move and leave, and you have been restricting how you're doing that, you know, maybe take a look at what is truly holding you back, or what you are allowing to hold you back, because you do have the power here. Okay? That's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for being here. You know the deal. I appreciate all the button clicking, likes, subscribe, comment, all the things. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.